So why play-based education? My biggest success story is my daughter, Isabel. How I know this is really working? I'm like, oh God, I think maybe she's a dancer. She didn't sing on key and she went off. The tale of a passive student. Okay, I love this story because I was that kid in school. If we introduce it to play, it's a precursor to formal education. When we do it in a rigid way, we suck the joy out of learning this beautiful, amazing art form. Children are naturally playful, and if we allow them to learn through play, we will create an immersive, an engaging, and a creative learning environment. Right? When I look around this room, I think we have about 10 cities represented, 10 official cities represented across India. All right. I think if we include all our team here as well, I think there's more than 17 cities. So, and all of us have our unique, different languages that we speak. Yep, our mother tongues. So I want to ask a question. I want to start today with a very interesting question. How did you learn your mother tongue? I mean, it's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer me right now. However, how did you learn your mother tongue? How did you teach your mother tongue to your children? You didn't start with the alphabet. You didn't start with a letter. You didn't say, this is a verb, this is a noun, these are the rules. All you did was you spoke to them. You started with Amma, Appa, Papa, Dada, whatever it is. And before you knew, they learned one word, and then two words, and then three words. And now we have to ask them to keep quiet. Correct. And even before they're three, they can express themselves very, 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 very well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Now, these are complicated languages that have been around for millennia. All right. Now, how is it possible that this can happen? It's an innate thing. We create a natural world for them to pick up learning such complicated languages, right? So if this can happen for language, why not we use a similar concept to different kinds of teaching, whether it can be physics or math or languages, like we already have just discussed, or music. So music also is a language. Music also has a powerful way of just capturing a child's expression. And sometimes we have a rigid way of doing it. And sometimes if we adopt a playful way, maybe things will change. Maybe things will be so different that a child can say, hey, I can express myself. So today we're going to talk about play-based education. In fact, these 2 days we're going to delve deep, or rather introduction for many. Some educators here already, you'll already know, music educators, you know all about music. But we're trying to look at it through a different prism, a prism through play. How can this change the way a child perceives music, and how you as a facilitator can use it in your classes to make it more engaging, more immersive, and very, very creative. All right. How did the child learn? They observed, they imitated, and then they repeated. And this thing went over and over again. And before you know it, they put things together and they improvised. They use it to express themselves with whatever you've given them. So imitation, or rather observation, imitation, repetition, and along with it comes improvisation, and then they express themselves. So we will take a path down as to how we can go down in this, what you call, journey. Now, since this is a music and movement workshop, I want to remind us of a quote, all right? It's by Orff, and here's how it goes. I'll paraphrase here and there, all right? Music begins inside of human beings, and so must instruction. It doesn't start at an instrument, nor with the first finger, nor with the first position, nor with this chord or that chord. The starting point is one's own stillness. It's listening to oneself, the being ready for music, listening to one's heartbeat and breathing. So if music starts within, so much instruction, all right? Now I understand there are many people here who are not music teachers, who are here to figure how you can use music in your classes. So throughout the day, you'll figure ways that can be completely applicable to you, and some might not be directly applicable to you. But we will take whatever comes our way and try to use it in the classes. And I'm sure all our teachers will be very creative, and we have our own styles of teaching. It's adopting these new ideas is what we are here for, all right? So why play-based education? I mean, what's this big fuss about play-based education, right? Everything else, I mean, I don't think that none of us studied in play-based education. I think we all turned out pretty decent, right? Anyone studied in a play-based school? Nobody. Okay, so I guess this is how they turn out when they don't study in a play-based school. But a play-based education. Why play-based education? Because children don't like to study. They don't like to study, or maybe they don't like the way they are being asked to study or being taught to study, if you know what I mean. Perhaps if we can change things around, if we enter their world, the universal language is play. You can put a child from another city to another city. They may not know their languages, but they will discover how to play together. All right, I'm sure you agree with that. They figure their strengths, they discover their abilities, they learn how to get along with their peers, they work out their differences with each other. They fearlessly express themselves in play because there's no pressure, right? They make bonds, they enjoy this whole process. And how do you know it's working? You can hear laughter, happiness, and joy when they are playing. Because they're at best when they're doing that. And if we can foster a similar environment, I think the way they will learn is going to be completely different, all right? So, you know how a child's minds work. We were all there once, right? We all had the same ways of discovering the world. So let me tell you about my little son, Levi. He's 1.9 now. If I give him a small little bowl and a little bit of dal, you know dal, pulses, he plays around with it. He has all sorts of things. He'll arrange it. And I'm here investing such high toys. It's a waste. I should just get him a bowl and some dal and he'll do it. My daughter pretends she's a host of a show and she's hosting the show. Hey guys, and she's doing, there's nobody around. It's a natural state of how they are. All right. So why play-based learning again? Whether you're a music teacher or a class teacher, imagine if we tap into this world of play. We will help children discover their abilities, learn complex concepts, and without even having them realize that they are learning. Now that's the cool part. We don't have to say, okay, today I'm going to be teaching you this, but rather we enter the world and things just change. So India has a rich heritage. We have a rich heritage in Indian music, Carnatic and Hindustani. And we also have Western music. It's the legacy the British left us with, all right? Now, both of them are very, very important in, structured music. It instills a lot of, proper structures for people to learn. I'm sure a lot of you are practitioners and you're also familiar with the Trinity School or something called the ABRSN. They'll say, my daughter is doing grade 5 and my son is doing grade 8. It's a matter of pride for a lot of Indian people to say they're doing this, right? I'm sure you agree, especially the music teachers. Or if you're a parent who wants to put your child in a, course, they say grade 5 music, then wow, grade 5 is like the entry point to do something else further, right? But the only issue here that I have is the way we introduce these amazing genres to our children. When we do it in a rigid way, we suck the joy out of learning this beautiful, amazing art form. And there is a time for it, but I'm talking before they are ready. Remember I told you about the language part. Even until they are about 5, they can't read and write, but they're very good communicators. The reading, writing, formal part comes way, 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 way later. But what comes before that is the understanding of these concepts. They already know whatever pronoun, conjunction, all sorts of grammatical rules. But the formal aspect comes in later. So whether it's music, which I'm focusing right now, if we introduce it to play, it's a precursor to formal education. And throughout the course, you will understand how this can actually relate to the concepts that we are learning. Because we can't put a quarter note on the board and say, okay, first music class, that's a quarter note. And it doesn't work like that. And we can really, like I said, suck the joy out of learning music. Or if you're trying to sing a song, my mom's been a kindergarten teacher for 45 years. All elementary teachers or kindergarten teachers are music and dance teachers. Would you agree? Okay, so if you agree, what we will do in this 2 days is figure out intentional ways of using music and movement through play in our lessons. You can teach your lessons as well, but whether it's transitional activities or transdisciplinary activities or circle time activities, I'm sure there's a lot to learn in these couple of days. All right. So here's a little highlight. Okay, here's what we do. All right. In Tāla, our program is called Sing, Move and Play. Right? We focus mainly from kindergarten to grade 5. And as you said, for non-music teachers, we show you a method, a template or a philosophy that you can adopt, that you can use in your classrooms. That's what we do. So Sing, Move and Play, it's both for music teachers and teachers that work with little children. Right? So here's a little highlight of our success stories. Right? We started this in 2000 and or unofficially 2017. Right? A lot of the stuff you see around we made in a small little factory because we didn't have the money, and we discovered we're not going to get any. We'll figure it out ourselves. So we made most of these instruments here. But officially we registered like almost 2 years ago. And I think this year, with you all, maybe it's 1,300 teachers we've reached out to. And in different parts of India, we've traveled. This is something that we host, so we make it very affordable. Sometimes we can invite it to different schools, all right? So here's what we want to do. In the next 3 years, we want to help educate 3,000 teachers. Because if we help the teachers and we're able to propagate and be ambassadors and evangelists for play-based education, then we will see an entire trend change in the next 10 years. We've seen the NEP and different things that are coming in place. This is so cohesive that can help educators like you and me make a big difference in children. But the biggest success story is not just these 1,000 odd teachers and that we want to train the teachers. How do I know this is working? So for the past 20 years, 21 this year, I've been a music educator. But for the past 5, I have been a parent as well. I've got a daughter, a son, and the third one on the way. In case you didn't know, the pretty girl there is my wife. Yeah. So, in the pandemic, third one's on the way. That's what I meant. Anyway, my biggest success story is my daughter, Isabel. How I know this is really working. Now, I used to receive kids when they were about 3. That's when they come into school, right? I didn't teach in a play school, but K to 12. So I didn't know what happened before that. But working with Isabel, one day she said, "Dada, can I sing?" And then I was like, yes, music teacher's daughter is going to sing. And I played a scale and I asked her to sing. And Izzy sang off. She went like, I'm like, oh God, I think maybe she's a dancer. She didn't sing on key and she went off. And I didn't know. Different philosophies. Musicians are born, musicians are made. Is it nature or nurture? There are a lot of philosophies out there. I thought it wasn't enough. But here's what happened. Since the conception of this thing, play, sing, move and play from Tāla, Izzy's been watching us. She comes for our classes in the evening. She just does whatever we do. We don't tell her it's right or wrong. We encourage her to imitate. We encourage her to repeat. We encourage her to try it out. Somewhere along, we didn't make her feel conscious. We made her feel aware, but not conscious that, oh, you're doing wrong things. She picked it up. She figured out how to sing on key. She's jamming constantly. She has no clue what a 4/4 beat is. She has no clue what a 6/8 beat. She even plays 5/4 beats. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, non-music teachers. Complicated rhythm patterns. She's already grooving to music and singing on key. And the proof is in the pudding, right? And in the eating, and I can see it in my children that it's working. And I'm like, wow. That's why it's a conviction for me personally and my team here to make play-based education for music and movement in our country very, very, very evident. And we are very certain we will succeed. And I'm so happy you all are here for that. Yeah. Here's a couple more things. I want to talk to you about some reality situations in your classrooms. Okay, this I don't need my notes because I'm very passionate about this. The tale of a passive student. Okay, I love this story because I was that kid in school. In a school, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you'll agree. In a school, teachers predominantly remember two groups. The first group is all your A-stars. The brilliant, wow, they look good, they talk good, they're down to earth, they are amazing in sports, amazing in academics, they're amazing in art, they're elocution, captain, this, that. You're like, wow. We talk about them and put them up on a pedestal and say, this is how you have to be, right? Then there's the second group of students. We will never forget these students, the notorious ones, the ones that you go like, Arpana's not come to class today. I don't know if Arpana, if your teacher said that, but you know that student that doesn't come. I mean, let me admit it. We in our hearts as teachers, we breathe a sigh of relief. I said, "Oh my God, this fellow's not come, or this girl is not come." I mean, I'm being honest about it. All right, the class is very different that day. Everybody is calm. No, nothing is happening. Nobody's hair is pulled. Nobody is constantly being the clown in the class. Now we never forget these students because these are attention seekers, or they just are troublemakers, or they're just being themselves, right? But there's one group. I say the first group is 10% and the other group is 10%. But there's one more group, the big 80%, the passive ones, the ones that haven't figured out who they are or what they are. They don't know how to speak, they're stuttering. If they say something, the teacher says, no, that's not right. Sorry, that's the wrong answer. Maybe they haven't found their voice. Maybe they have no clue how. They're just very passive. They'll be like probably zoned out. They'll be staring into space. I'm sure you know these kids. I was one of them. The only reason the teacher may know me is like, sorry, but very prejudiciously, that fair boy, that's about it. There is no significant talent I had in school. I'm sure you have the same mix. The superstars, the troublemakers, and then this big passive group. How do we teach in a class and make it appealing to everybody? How can we make it inclusive? This is not a preaching session where I'm preaching at you, but I'm literally thinking to myself, how do we make every child in the class? It's not possible, but what can we do as teachers? Because we're dealing with groups, whether you like it or not. There is no other alternative. In a regular setup, we've got 20, 30, 40, sometimes even 50 kids. How do you deal with them? If we try and employ play-based music, and there are two predominant pedagogies we will be delving into. Number one is the Orff approach, the ORFF, the Orff approach. The other, to a certain extent, depending on how deep we go, the Kodály method. All right. Now, adopting these simple ideas that are very child-centric, it'll be in your notes later, so you don't have to worry about it. Adopting this into your pedagogy and your style of teaching, as I've seen, and a lot of my teachers have seen, transforms the way we teach. And if we do that, perhaps we have a better chance of getting those passive kids involved in the entire, with the toppers and our kids that may be disruptive. They won't have time to disrupt because our activities, the way we engage, the way we provoke thought, the way we provoke inquiry, all those things, they have no time to be distracted. So there are no stars and there are no troublemakers. There's just one class with our approach, and the way we do it is say, whatever you do is right in this context. Imagine we told the kid, can you play the beat right? No, your position is wrong. Do it this way, do that way. And they don't know. But if I say, hey, can you clap your hands and do it however you want? And if they can do it without fear, how amazing would that be? And as we go, we make things more complex. And so the passive student can be converted into an active student if we employ ways like play, music, and movement in our pedagogy. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. Each one of us are very creative. We have formed our own pedagogies, right? I'm sure all teachers, we love children. That's why we're in this profession. I'm sure there are many people here who've been teaching for more than 10, 20 years, and you love what you do, and you're sacrificial. You don't have your food. Recently, we saw a post of a man who was, I'm sure we all seen that. He's correcting his papers before he passed away. And that's, amazing dedication. And we all have our pedagogies, right? But here's what I want to tell you. I want you to challenge the rigid methods, traditions that have just passed on, because I believe, whether we like it or not, teachers teach the way they are taught. Unless you consciously say, hey, no, I had a lousy teacher, I want to undo what that is. But generally, instinctively, teachers teach the way they are taught. So I want you to keep an open mind, adopt, embrace play-based teaching. Try to see how you can fit this into your pedagogy, your styles, adopt it. You don't have to forsake things that are working well, but you can question it. Is this really working? What are the learning outcomes? How many kids, how can you assess that? Can you question traditional norms and methods and adopt play to see a transformation in your class? And I think we will witness a creative, immersive, and an engaging environment for our kids to learn.